One of the most frightening experiences a parent can face is the thought of losing a child. Thankfully, cases of missing children are uncommon. However, when they do happen, the parents and loved ones often endure profound grief. Sadly, there are instances where children vanish and are never found. Everyone feared the worst when little Ricky Chikebia disappeared in 2017, and authorities were unable to find him for over 2 years. In a surprising twist, the boy's location was eventually uncovered thanks to a dresser. When Ricky Chikebia went missing in November 2007, he was a happy and lively 4-year-old. Both he and his mother vanished without a trace. The boy's parents were embroiled in a contentious custody battle, and it was suspected that Ricky and Shannon had disappeared following the confrontation between Shannon and Ricky's father. Initially, the police did not take their absence seriously, but it soon became clear that Ricky and Shannon were nowhere to be found, despite extensive searches by local authorities. It was as if they had completely vanished from the earth. The primary suspect was Ricky's father, Michael Chikebia, who was accused by the police and Ricky's grandmother of being involved in the disappearance. Even though the odds were against him, Michael insisted on his innocence and continued looking for his child. It is interesting to note that Ricky and Shannon vanished immediately after the court granted Michael full custody of Ricky. The police suspected right away that Shannon had escaped with Ricky to prevent his father from exercising his custody rights. Despite issuing an arrest warrant, authorities were still unable to locate Shannon Wolong or her mother. When police finally spoke with Diane Dobbs, Ricky's grandmother, she immediately implied that Michael was violent and that Shannon could have run away to spare Ricky from having to grow up in a hostile home. Diane worked very hard to provide a flawless picture of her daughter, which led the police to question her intentions. Was this merely a grandmother attempting to dispel suspicions about her daughter, or was she genuinely worried about her family? Diane even went so far as to start a full-scale smear campaign against Michael, distributing leaflets at his church that negatively described him. As a result of Shannon's statements and accusations against him, Michael was viewed with mistrust. He remained composed and refused to let the hurtful remarks affect him. Michael had been wondering if Shannon was somehow connected to Ricky's disappearance, but he had never been able to find any proof. Additionally, the local police had been searching for Shannon and Ricky for nearly 2 years without even the slightest hint of evidence to lead them to the right person. As the days and months passed, people began to forget about Ricky and his unexplained absence, but his father never forgot or gave up searching for him. Unexpectedly, the police received a phone call that would change their lives. Was this the news that everyone had been anticipating? Michael and the authorities were starting to lose hope that Ricky would ever be located. A miracle was much needed. The police received a call with the straightforward instruction to look beneath the dresser, just when everyone felt there was nothing further they could do. When the authorities investigated Ricky's grandmother's home 2 years after he and Shannon vanished, they were unable to locate the little boy. This time, though, they had precise information and planned to conduct another search of the residence. The police were shocked to see, as the caller had described, a big wooden dresser in a rather uncomfortable position inside Diane Dobbs' home. Nobody on the police team had any idea what they were going to find when they pushed the dresser aside. Was this the moment everyone had been anticipating? What was beneath the dresser was unbelievable. They discovered Shannon and Ricky inside the little room that was concealed by the enormous oak dresser that served as an entryway. The two were cowering in the corner of a room that was no more habitable than a washing machine. Ricky's living area was so small that it should have been described as a crawl space between 2 walls rather than a room. The fact that he and his mother were able to live in such a cramped place for over 2 years is simply astounding. How could the two have been heard or seen at all during the day? Ricky was compelled to remain indoors and was not even permitted to gaze out the windows of the house. Instead, Ricky was totally cut off from the outside world, and the shades were always drawn. Ricky ran and played like a youngster who had never seen the outside world before. When he finally saw sunshine, green grass, and fresh air after spending so much time cooped up in a little room, the police officers were devastated by this incident. None could comprehend why a mother, for whatever reason, would keep her child imprisoned for so long. Diane and Shannon were both accused and taken into custody shortly after. Diane claimed that they were merely acting in Ricky's best interests and shielding him from his father. Even as the two were being taken to court following his discovery, Ricky was placed into the care of social services to ensure his safety while they determined whether it would be safe for him to return home. Ricky would see his father again. Michael Eagle anticipated the moment when he would be able to embrace his son once more. Shannon was also placed in safe custody in the interim, though this kind of safe custody could have been a little less cozy. Being detained in county jail while the investigation and trial were ongoing gave Shannon a taste of her own medicine. She had daylight, fresh air, and a window, at least while they awaited a judge to hear their case and determine whether or not they were guilty of kidnapping a minor. Shannon's mother was also incarcerated. Convincing a jury that they were merely acting in Ricky's best interests was the goal of Ricky's mother and grandmother. They continued to insist, however, that they had done nothing wrong and that Michael was abusive. Would they be believed by anyone? Michael never gave up or took the law into his own hands in spite of all the obstacles and difficulties he encountered. Instead, he made the patient decision to wait until social services and the legal system permitted him to permanently reunite with his child. The father, who now takes pleasure in the manner in which he battled for his child and never gave up hope that he would be found, was granted exclusive custody of the young boy by the court. This raises the question of why a mother would choose to abduct her own child. Was it out of fear that she wouldn't be Ricky's favorite parent, or that she would lose the chance to see him after his father was granted full custody? The reasons behind Shannon's unusual actions may remain a mystery, as she has yet to disclose the truth. Diane Dobbs, Shannon's mother, aided her in carrying out the kidnapping scheme and was also charged with criminal abduction, appearing in court alongside her daughter. Despite their claims of innocence, they maintained that they had done nothing wrong. One thing is certain: while we may never fully understand Shannon's true motivations, Ricky is now back with his father, where he belongs. He is thriving in a stable, child-friendly environment. Having recovered from his traumatic experience, Ricky is a happy and well-adjusted boy who enjoys spending time with his father. Fortunately, he seems to have emerged from the ordeal unscathed, both physically and mentally. Described as an active child, he spends much of his time outdoors, which is understandable, given that he was confined indoors for nearly 2 years. Now a teenager, Ricky is living a normal life and engaging in various sports, often celebrating his achievements with his proud father by his side. Isn't this the ideal way for all children to grow up? What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. If you like the story, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.